척한 사나. 너 저 여자 좋아하지?
The ICU room smelled like disinfectant and death. Joon's tattooed hand gripped his mother's frail fingers at 2:47 a.m., the machines beeping their steady countdown. Mrs. Choi's eyes flickered open, settling on the black nurse across the room, adjusting another patient's IV. Jeogan Hosa, his mother whispered in Korean, her voice barely audible. Neo Jeo Yoja Johahaji? That nurse. You like her, don't you? Joon's jaw tightened. His mother's hand squeezed harder than seemed possible for someone this close to the end. She switched to English, knowing he'd try to deflect in Korean. Promise me you'll let her see you, the real you. The real him. The one who'd left 3 bodies in a Busan warehouse 2 nights ago. The one whose name made grown men go quiet in expensive restaurants. That version? Iyama, please promise me. He promised. What else could he do? Welcome to First Epic Tales by Liam. Please like, share, and subscribe for more powerful stories like this. Here's the thing about deathbed promises. You can't take them back. Even when keeping them might get you killed. Even when you run half of Seoul's underground and weakness is a death sentence. Joon Park, 34, controlled everything from cargo ships docked at Incheon port to the neon-lit clubs in Gangnam where politicians and criminals drank together. People bowed when he walked past, not out of respect, but out of survival instinct. His reputation preceded him like a cold wind. Jojigi Wang, they called him. King of the organization. But none of that mattered at 3 a.m. in a hospital room watching your mother die. Mrs. Choi had stage 4 pancreatic cancer. Weeks left, maybe days. She'd never asked him for anything. Not when his father died and left them with debt and shame. Not when Joon dropped out of university at 19. Not when he came home that first time with blood on his shirt and fresh tattoos covering the bruises. This was her first request. Her only request. She wanted him to fall in love. Across the room, Maya Jenkins checked her patient's vitals with practiced efficiency. 28 years old, natural hair in neat braids, scrubs decorated with cartoon characters that made elderly patients smile. She'd been in Seoul for 3 years, spoke Korean fluently, and still got stares everywhere she went. The elderly woman in bed 3 looked up at her with wide eyes. 당신 한국말 해요? You speak Korean? Maya's smile was tired but genuine. She'd heard this question 1,000 times. 네, 할매오니. 유상해요. Yes, grandmother. Fluently. Her mother was Korean from Daegu, met her Black American father at a military base 30 years ago. Maya grew up in Detroit speaking both languages, eating both cuisines, belonging fully to neither world. She knew how to make proper kimchi jjigae. She bowed at the right times. She understood the unspoken hierarchies. Didn't matter. She was still the black nurse in most rooms. Joon watched her laugh, with the elderly patient, a real laugh that reached her eyes. Not performative, not fake, just genuine warmth in a place where warmth was rare. Their eyes met across the room for a brief moment. She didn't look away. Everyone else did. Everyone else always did. The next morning, Mrs. Choi was more insistent. She spoke in Korean first, the way she did when she wanted to make sure he was really listening. She's kind, real kind, not the kind people fake. Yama. He tried to deflect, but she cut him off, switching to English. You think I don't know what you do, who you are out there? Her thin hand touched his tattooed forearm, tracing the edge of a dragon's tail. But I also know who you are in here. And that boy, my real son, he's dying too. Lonelier than I am. She'd never acknowledged his work before. Never asked about the late-night calls or the men in expensive suits who bowed too deeply. She'd just loved him, fed him, pretended he was still the boy who wanted to be a teacher. She sees people, his mother continued. Really sees them. Not what they do, who they are. You need someone like that. This sounds like a drama script, right? Dying mother's last wish, handsome criminal, unlikely romance. Except Mrs. Choi had never asked Joon for anything. Not once in 34 years. She'd sacrificed everything, asked for nothing, and now she was asking for this one thing. So yeah, he was going to try. 4 a.m. in the hospital cafeteria. Maya sat alone, eating ramyun and reading a medical journal, her hair pulled back, exhaustion evident in the set of her shoulders. Joon approached, and she didn't immediately acknowledge him. which was already different. My mother talks a lot, he said. Maya turned a page. Most mothers do. She thinks I should want someone. Finally, Maya looked up. Direct eye contact. No deference. Do you? The question caught him off guard. People didn't ask Joon what he wanted. They asked what he needed, what he demanded, what would keep them alive. But what he wanted? That was new territory. I don't know. No one's ever asked me that. People probably don't ask you a lot of things. She went back to her journal. Conversation over, apparently. Most people around Joon agreed. They obeyed. They shut up and nodded. Maya did none of that. She treated him like he was normal, which was either incredibly brave or incredibly stupid, maybe both. That's probably what hooked him. 3 days later, Maya agreed to coffee. Not one of Joon's usual places with private rooms and security everywhere. She picked a tiny cafe in Hongdae, mismatched furniture, indie music playing too loud, terrible coffee that cost 2,001. Joon looked completely out of place. Expensive watch, tailored black shirt, tattoos creeping up his neck. Everyone else wore hoodies and ripped jeans. Maya showed up in a Michigan State sweatshirt, looking perfectly comfortable. So what do you actually do? She asked, stirring sugar into her coffee. Import and export. Uh-huh, what kind? The kind you don't ask about. Maya leaned back, studying him. Okay, so drugs, guns, or people? Joon's expression went cold, dangerous. The temperature at the table dropped 10 degrees. This was the look that made men confess to things they didn't do. Maya continued, unbothered. I'm guessing not people because your mom seems decent. So drugs or guns? Maybe both. Am I close? She should have. Been scared. Anyone else would have been. Anyone with sense would have walked out right then. But Maya grew up in Detroit. She knew what dangerous looked like. She'd seen her uncle bleed out on their front porch when she was 12. She'd learned to read rooms, to know when violence was coming and when it was just posturing. Joon was dangerous, yes, but he was also lonely. She could see both. Gray markets mostly, Joon said finally. Shipping routes, nightclubs for clean money, some security work. He paused. You should walk away. Yeah, probably. She took a sip of the terrible coffee and grimaced. But your mom asked you to try, right? So I'm giving you 1 month. Let's see if you're worth worrying about. 1 month turned into 3 weeks of late-night phone calls after Maya's shifts. Joon started showing up with real food, not hospital cafeteria garbage. Japchae from a place in Myeongdong his mother used to love. Fried chicken from a spot that didn't deliver, but made in Seoul. Exception when Joon called. Maya taught him how to make his mother's favorite soup, laughing when he added too much gochugaru and had to start over. They stood in his penthouse kitchen, her hands guiding his through the motions, and for maybe the first time in his adult life, Joon felt normal. His security team watched from a distance. Maya didn't know about them yet. 4 guys rotating shifts, following her to work, checking her apartment building, running background checks on everyone she talked to. Mrs. Choi watched them together and smiled. 2 weeks in, Maya came to visit during her break. She bowed to Mrs. Choi, did it perfectly, the exact right angle and duration. You learned that well, Mrs. Choi said in Korean. My mom taught me, Maya replied in the same language. She's from Daegu. Ah, Mrs. Choi's smile flickered slightly. Mixed. The word hung in the air. Not rejection exactly, not cruelty, just awareness. Acknowledgement of the complicated space Maya occupied. Maya switched to English. Yeah, I get that a lot. Mrs. Choi wasn't mean about it, but Maya heard it anyway, that little pause, that footnote that always followed her existence. Even when Koreans accepted you, there was always an asterisk. You speak Korean well for a mixed person. You understand our culture surprisingly. You're pretty for a black girl. Always a qualifier, always a but. That night, in Joon's office, Minho dropped a folder on the desk. Photos spilled out. Maya leaving her apartment, Maya at the hospital, Maya at that terrible cafe in Hongdae. Yakuza knows about her, Minho said in Korean, his scarred face impassive. They're watching. Joon's hand tightened on his glass. Increase her security. Boss, that makes her a bigger target. They'll know she matters. Here's the thing about showing weakness in Joon's world. It gets you killed. Emotions are leverage. Love is a weapon someone else can use against you. The Yakuza had been circling for months. Old beef. Over territory in Busan that went back 3 years and 2 bodies. They'd been looking for an opening, a pressure point, anything to make Joon vulnerable. Now they'd found it. Joon made it to 3 weeks before he tried to end it. He chose the Han River at sunset, golden hour lighting making everything look softer than it was, beautiful and sad at the same time. This was a mistake, he said. Maya turned to face him. Which part? All of it. You need to go back to your life. Forget this month happened. That's it? You're just done. People are watching you. Dangerous people, because of me. Maya's eyes flashed. So protect me. I am, by leaving. No. She stepped closer, invading his space, refusing to be dismissed. You're protecting yourself. Your mom asked you to try, to let someone see you, but the second it gets real, you're running? I'm keeping you alive. I didn't ask you to. I asked you to be honest. She was right. He was scared. Not of the Yakuza, not of violence or retaliation or war. He was scared of this, of someone mattering enough to destroy him, of caring more about her safety than his empire. His phone buzzed. A photo filled the screen. Maya's apartment building, taken from street level. The message came through in Japanese. Pretty nurse, would be a shame. Joon's expression went dead calm, the kind of calm that preceded extremely violent decisions. Pack a bag, he said quietly. You're coming with me, now. They made it back to the hospital just in time. Mrs. Choi was fading, machines screaming, nurses moving with practiced urgency. Maya held one hand, Joon held the other. You found her, Mrs. Choi whispered in Korean, barely audible over the alarms. Yama, I'm sorry. Mrs. Choi's eyes found Maya's face. She switched to English with her last bit of strength. Don't let him hide. He'll try. Don't let him. She squeezed both their hands together, completing a circuit. Promise me. Maya's voice was steady. Yagsokeo? I promise. Mrs. Choi smiled, then she was gone. Maya held Joon while he cried. He hadn't cried since he was 14, since the day his father died, and he realized tears solved nothing. But he cried now, shoulders shaking, years of control shattering. First time anyone had held him through it. First time anyone had seen this and stayed. That's when the Yakuza made their move. The safe house was sterile. White walls, reinforced windows, security cameras in every corner. Maya sat on the couch watching Joon's team move around her like she was cargo, not a person. So what now? She asked. I hide forever. Minho stood by the window, arms crossed. We can move her out of the country, new identity. Canada, maybe Australia. Maya's head snapped up. Excuse me? It's the safest option, Joon started. I don't want safe, I want a choice. The room went quiet. Joon's men exchanged glances. Nobody talked to the boss like this. Maya stood, exhaustion and grief making her reckless. Your whole life, people have made you into a weapon. Something scary, something useful, but never just a person. Joon's jaw tightened, but he didn't interrupt. I see the person, Maya continued, her voice cracking slightly. The one who sat with his mom every night, who laughs at dumb jokes, who's scared of being lonely. But if you push me away to protect me, you're just proving everyone right. You're just a weapon. She walked to the window, looking out at nothing. I'm not running. Teach me how to survive your world or let me go, but stop making choices for me. Minho thought she was crazy. The other men thought she was naive, some American who'd watched too many movies and didn't understand how things actually worked. But Joon saw something else. He saw someone who wasn't afraid of him, who wasn't afraid of his world, who was just afraid of being erased, of being protected into invisibility. 2 weeks, he said finally. You learn everything. Self-defense, security protocols, how to read a room. You do exactly what we say. Maya turned. And then? Then you decide, stay or go. But you'll know what you're choosing. The training was brutal. 6 a.m. starts, running through scenarios until her muscles screamed. One of Joon's men, a former Special Forces guy named Tae, taught her how to check cars for tampering, how to identify exits in any room, how to spot a tail. The self-defense sessions left her bruised. Tae didn't go easy on her. Again, he barked in Korean when she failed to break a hold. She tried again, failed again. You're hesitating. In a real situation, you're already dead. Maya gritted her teeth and went again. This time she dropped her weight, twisted hard, broke free. Tae nodded approval. June watched from the doorway, arms crossed. When she finally landed a solid hit during sparring, catching Tay off guard with a knee strike, June smiled. Actually smiled. Not bad, Tay admitted, rubbing his ribs. She learned June's world in fragments. Met his crew, a mix of ex-military, former gang members, and tech guys who looked like they should be working at startups. They were skeptical at first. Some Black American nurse their boss was suddenly willing to risk everything for. It didn't make sense. But Maya didn't try to fit in. She just existed. One night she made collard greens in the safe house. Kitchen, a taste of home. The guys were suspicious until they tried it. Then they wanted seconds. They taught her Korean card games in return, laughing when she won 3 hands straight. She's counting cards, one of them accused in Korean. Obviously, Maya replied in the same language. You're all terrible at hiding tells. Slowly, they started to respect her. Not because she tried to be one of them, but because she held her own. 2 weeks passed too quickly. Mrs. Choi's funeral arrived like a deadline. The temple was packed. Legitimate businessmen in expensive suits stood next to June's organization members. Everyone knew who everyone was. The line between legal and illegal blurred in the incense smoke. Maya stood beside June in a black dress, her braided hair pulled back. She held his hand. The stares were immediate and intense. This wasn't just some girl he was seeing. This was a statement. Maya beside June at his mother's funeral meant she wasn't temporary. It meant she was under his protection, which also meant she was a target. June's uncle approached, 60 years old and traditional in every fiber. He spoke in Korean, not bothering to check if Maya understood. This is inappropriate. Your mother just died and you bring her? Maya responded in Korean before June could. I was with Mrs. Choi when she passed. She asked me to be here. The uncle's eyes widened. He recovered quickly, switching to a condescending tone. Your Korean is adequate, but this is family business. Maya bowed politely, the perfect angle and duration. With respect, sir, your sister asked me to take care of her son. I intend to honor that. She didn't back down, didn't apologize for existing, just stood there, respectful but immovable. The uncle walked away muttering. 3 days later, Maya tried to return to normalcy. She had a shift at the hospital, needed to feel like herself again. The apartment June moved her to was nice, secure, had a security team outside. She was getting ready when she noticed the silence. No footsteps in the hallway. No radio chatter from the team outside. Her training kicked in. She grabbed her phone, started to call June. The door burst open. Maya ran for the bedroom, fingers hitting June's number. 4 men, professionals, moved too fast. She grabbed a lamp, swung hard, connected with someone's jaw. He went down. 1 month ago, she would have frozen. Now she fought. But they were professionals, and she was 3 weeks trained. Strong hands grabbed her arms. Chemical smell filled her nose, cloth pressed to her face, chloroform. The world went sideways. June was in a meeting when his phone exploded with alerts. Minho burst through the door, tablet in hand, face pale. Boss. The video played. Maya tied to a chair in a warehouse, blood trickling from her split lip. Still unconscious. A Yakuza lieutenant stepped into frame, smiling at the camera. He spoke Japanese, subtitles unnecessary. Your territory in Busan. All of it. 24 hours. Or she dies. June didn't yell. Didn't throw anything. He went very quiet. Very still. The kind of quiet that preceded extreme violence. Call everyone, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. Full team. I want blueprints of every Yakuza property in Seoul within the hour. Boss, maybe we should negotiate. June's eyes cut to Minho. I'm not negotiating, I'm going to war. Minho had seen June angry before, violent, ruthless. But this was different. This wasn't business. This was personal. And personal was so much worse. The warehouse was an Incheon industrial area, abandoned shipping containers stacked like a maze. June's team surrounded the building in darkness. 20 men armed and ready. He led personally. Not from an office or a car. He was going in first. Flashbangs shattered the silence. Glass exploded inward. Gunfire erupted, controlled bursts from his team. June moved through the warehouse like a force of nature, not hesitating, not negotiating. Every door he kicked through, every corner he cleared, he was looking for her. 2 Yakuza members tried to block a hallway. They didn't succeed. June wasn't thinking about territory anymore, wasn't calculating costs or consequences. He was thinking about Maya tied to a chair, bleeding because of him, because he'd been stupid enough to care, selfish enough to keep her close. He found her in a back room, still tied to the chair, conscious now, bruised but alive. Her eyes met his, and something in his chest unclenched. He moved fast, cutting the ropes, checking her for injuries. "Are you hurt? Did they—" "I'm okay." Her voice was hoarse but steady. "Little roughed up, but okay. Can we have the emotional breakdown later? Let's get out first." Despite everything, she was smiling slightly. That's when he knew she wasn't just surviving his world. She was built for it. They were back at the safe house by dawn. Maya patched up, painkillers in her system, sitting on the couch, wrapped in a blanket. Joon hadn't left her side for 6 hours. "You gave them Busan, didn't you?" Maya asked quietly. Joon looked up. "What?" "To end this fast. You traded territory for me." He didn't answer immediately. Maya had figured out what it took his team hours to piece together. After the rescue, Joon made a call, gave the Yakuza what they wanted, ended a 3-year war in one conversation. "I'd burn the whole empire to get you back," he said finally. "That's insane." "Yeah, probably." He moved closer, sitting on the edge of the couch. "My mom asked me to try, to let someone see me. You've seen the worst parts now, the violence, the choices I make, and you're still here." "I'm an idiot, that's why." "No." His hand found hers. "You're brave," she was. Brave enough to love someone dangerous. Brave enough to stay when every logical instinct said, run. But also brave enough to demand he be better, to refuse to disappear just because it was easier. "I need you to understand something," Maya said, her voice gaining strength. "I'm not going to be hidden, not going to be your secret or your weakness that you have to protect by keeping me locked away. If I stay visible. That's not negotiable." Joon thought about his uncle at the funeral, the stairs in the temple, the way people would talk. A black woman beside Seoul's most feared criminal. It would be noticed, judged, used against him. "Okay," he said. "Okay? You stay visible." We both do. 6 months passed like water finding its level. The Yakuza war ended. Bloody, but brief. Joon's reputation somehow grew. People respected him more for going scorched earth over someone he loved. In his world, loyalty meant everything, and he'd proven his in the most violent way possible. His territory actually expanded after. Smaller organizations wanted to align with someone that committed, that dangerous when provoked. The new apartment was smaller, less fortress, more home. Photos of Mrs. Choi on the wall, her smile preserved in frames. Maya's nursing textbooks stacked next to Joon's business papers. Her braiding products in the bathroom next to his expensive cologne. They were in the kitchen on a Sunday afternoon, Maya attempting to make kimchi jjigae from Mrs. Choi's recipe. Joon was helping, which mostly meant standing too close and getting in the way. "You're terrible at this," Maya said in Korean, laughing as he added too much fish sauce. "I know," he replied in the same language, not even pretending to be offended. They were laughing. Together when his phone rang. Business call. Maya squeezed his hand and took over the cooking while he stepped away. She still got stares at the hospital. Still got the questions. "Where are you really from? You speak Korean so well. How long did it take to learn? Is your husband Korean?" Always assuming, always qualifying. But now she had someone who understood. Someone who saw her code switching. Saw her navigating spaces where she didn't quite fit. And never asked her to choose. He didn't need her to be more Korean or less black or anything other than exactly who she was. That evening, they sat together looking through old photos of Mrs. Choi. Young and smiling in some, older and tired in others. The last photo was from the hospital, Mrs. Choi's hand holding both of theirs together. "Think your mom would be happy?" Maya asked. Joon studied the photo, his mother's face peaceful despite everything. Yeah, I do." Mrs. Choi's last gift wasn't just pushing Joon to love someone. It was pushing him to let someone love him back. All of him. Not just the parts that were safe or acceptable or easy. The violent parts, the broken parts, the parts that woke up at 3 a.m. checking security feeds. The most dangerous choice you can make is the one that saves you. And sometimes that choice looks like a nurse from Detroit with braided hair and a smile that sees right through you. Someone brave enough to promise a dying woman she wouldn't let her son hide. Someone stubborn enough to keep that promise, even when it almost got her killed. Joon pulled Maya closer, pressing a kiss to her temple. Outside, Seoul glittered with night lights. the city continuing its chaotic dance of legal and illegal, traditional and modern, acceptable and forbidden. They existed in the spaces between, and maybe that was exactly where they belonged. If you've made it this far, drop a comment about family and the choices they push us toward. Sometimes the people who love us see what we need before we do. And if you want more stories like this, you know what to do.